What's happening, everyone? John Ramdeen here with you in the FN studios. This is Fight News Now Extra. My good friend Robin Black will pop by in just a moment to discuss all the happenings in the world of combat sports today. A number of fights have been announced for December, featuring featherweights, heavyweights, and some championship gold. Featherweights Frankie Edgar and Chad Mendes have come to a verbal agreement to face each other at the Ultimate Fighter 22 finale, which is set for December 11th in Las Vegas. Edgar, the former UFC lightweight champion, has put together an impressive 4-fight win streak, while Mendes is coming off a high-profile loss to Conor McGregor at UFC 189. It's a heavyweight bout that will finally come to fruition. Former K1 heavyweight king Alistair Overeem will get his long-awaited wish to face off against former UFC heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos. The pair were originally matched for UFC 146 and again for UFC 160, but due to a number of circumstances, both fights failed to materialize. The bout has now been officially set for UFC on Fox 17, which will take place in December, fingers crossed. UFC veteran Brandon Vera will get a crack at heavyweight gold, as it was recently announced that he will be taking on Chi Lewis Perry for the One Championship heavyweight title. Vera is coming off a TKO win from December of last year over Igor Sabora. The bout will take place at One Championship 35 Spirit of Champions, which is set to go down on December 11th in the Philippines at the Manila's Mall of Asia Arena. And don't forget to tune in to our preview show next Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern as we get you set for UFC 191, the flyweight championship on the line. Demetrius Johnson taking on John Dodson. Joined by Robin Black. Be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. Alistair Overeem, Junior Dos Santos. Alistair Overeem does know that it's past July 1st and he's not allowed to eat horse meat sandwiches, right?
Yeah. Horse meat's delicious and it makes you very big, but yeah, you can't have that. I think you will fail the advanced testing if you eat horse meat.
Do you like this matchup? Because I think stylistically, if you look at it, yes, both guys are going to stand and trade. Nobody's going down to the ground, but whose chin will stand up to the punching power of their opponent? I have a feeling Junior Dos Santos will be just fine. If you look at that fight with Cain Velasquez, that guy got beaten up and he refused to go down. But to Alistair Overeem, conversely, I don't know if he's going to be able to handle the firepower of Junior Dos Santos.
And in thus we have us a fun fight. And you know what kind of fights I love? I'm of the belief that the only good deal is a deal that's good for everyone. So I like fights that both guys like, the UFC likes, and people who like things different than I like. I like to see high-level technique in my heavyweights. I like to see strategy, but these guys are stars, they're characters, and they dislike each other. So if you're somebody who is excited by Twitter call-outs and debate and people, and what do they call that, heat or stuff like that, then you got that too. This is one of those fights I think everybody's going to be pretty happy with, except for whoever wakes up looking at the lights and they say, do you know where you are? And he says Saturday.
Stylistically, though, when you look at this matchup, who do you favor? I would expect you would say Junior Dos Santos because of the competition he's been faced with. He battled Cain Velasquez a number of times, and I would expect that experience will earn him the victory.
Who do you favor? Well, the elite, the Overeem, at his greatest, at his best, I favor that guy.
Sure.
But can you be that guy today? Like you mentioned, horse meat. I don't think you're allowed to use IV bags, steroids, or horse meat anymore. So without the horse meat, how's he going to look? But I don't know. It's really tricky. I mean, Junior Dos Santos really, truly does have some nice striking. And they've talked, he could be the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. That's not true. Let's not get excited. That is not true. But he's a very good boxer. So if you're over him, what do you try to do? Let's see how we can do at range with him. Let's move our feet. Let's smash up his body. Let's kick him in the diverticulosis. Oh, wait, he doesn't have that. But let's kick him there anyways. And you fight from the outside, no matter how you slice it. Also, you study what Velasquez did, and you try to make him believe in your wrestling. That would be a key, I think, also for Overeem. But it really depends on who these guys are in this new era, what they're like physically and mentally.
You go from the heavyweight division down to 145 pounds. I know you love this fight. Chad Mendes, Frankie Edgar. The problem is, does Frankie Edgar have too many miles on this body? He's faced the best of the best at 145 pounds and 155 pounds. Chad Mendes doesn't have all of those miles. It seems that he might be faster. His hands might be a little more explosive, and he can take a punch as well.
I didn't hear a word that you said because there's so much going on in the world. We're absorbing all the information. There's a fight last weekend and a fight next weekend and other fights going on, and we're watching fight. Is this fight happening?
Yeah, it's happening.
Chad Mendes is going to fight Frankie Edgar.
That's happening.
Chad Mendes is going to fight Frankie Edgar. That's what matters. That's awesome. Where's this happening?
At the Ultimate Fighter 22 finale.
Why is it happening there? This is a pay-per-view fight.
Yeah.
These guys are so good, and the way that they line up is so interesting. We got to chat with Mark Henry in Saskatoon, and we were talking about how Frankie Edgar became a new thing, a new being when he went and fought Sean Shirk. And that game that he developed of mixing up and leveraging his takedowns, leveraging his wrestling to set up his boxing, Mendes has picked up on that as well. You're going to get two very similar guys. Frankie Edgar is mentally as strong as anybody out there. Mendes has to come in there and know this is a career-defining fight. Oh, man, this is good.
But you'd expect that Chad Mendes equally mentally strong as well, training with all of the guys that he trains with at Team Alpha Male in Sacramento. That must give you confidence when you're training with champions TJ Dillashaw there, Danny Castillo, Uriah Faber. On top of that, he knows that his wrestling is probably just as good as Frankie Edgar's. He's more explosive than Frankie Edgar, and he took that fight on short notice against Conor McGregor, made a whole bunch of money, and you know what's Conor McGregor? That the reality is most people in the industry realize he actually is that good.
Yes, I'd love to. I mean, they're both such great fighters. They're both such these guys that you cheer for, two of my favorites out there. I can't believe this fight is happening. It's so good. Also, what did they learn from Uriah's fight? What can Uriah bring back and say, guys, I know when we look at the tape, you see this, but when you're in there, this is the sense that you get. This is why I was discouraged. One of the most aggressive fighters out there became somewhat psychologically discouraged in that fight. That's real. That's not a failure of Uriah Faber. That's something that Frankie did. So how do they assess that? How do they deal with that? But these are humans. These are people. These are just like you and I. They're just stronger and better athletes and mentally better. But somewhere in Chad Mendes, you know, if you go up and you talk to 20 beautiful women and they all tell you to take a hike, eventually you wonder where your game is at. He lost to Aldo in a great fight, didn't pull it out in the 5th round. He lost to McGregor with a lot of talk and he felt the pressure. In his mind, he's got to go in there with the knowledge, I'm the best 45-pounder in the world, and not, oh my God, it's Frankie Edgar. Awesome. I have the opportunity to beat one of the great in the world and make this definitive. But Edgar's walking in with the same thoughts.
It is clearly one of the most intriguing fights at 145 pounds. That is it for us. Don't go anywhere. More FNNE is still to come.